Hi, everybody. Um, Happy Sunday. How are you guys doing today? How's everybody feeling? So, today is going to be clearly um, a longer video. I think so far I've just been doing shorts. So, this is definitely going to be the longest video I have on the channel thus far. Because it's time for that. And we're going to see how long I can make it because these mosquitoes on my side and these mosquitoes are really kind of tearing me up. So, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, um, I hope everybody's doing well and whatnot. And if you are not doing well, I pray that you find your way back to peace, to grounding, to softness, to stillness, to quiet, to comfort, to solace, to warmth, to gratitude, to patience, to understanding, to compassion, to sensitivity, to all the things that you need to feel covered and seen and loved and protected. Asha. Um, okay, so as you can see from the title, today we are talking about grief in relation to being saved. So, um, I'm just trying to think, and I should have taken notes on like where to start with this. That would have been great, right? I'll have to work on that. Anyway, the idea for this topic came to me yesterday because I was thinking about just some of the relationships that I've had and how the other person in that relationship, not necessarily romantic, family, friends, yada yada, but so how the other person in that relationship didn't or couldn't or wouldn't come through for me and show up for me in the way that I may have needed them to at a particular time in my life. But then it made me think about how grateful I am to be where I am today in my life. And a large part of that is because these people didn't show up for me. They didn't come and rescue me when I felt that that's what I needed was to be rescued and saved. And can someone come just help me and take my hand or take care of it for me, tell me what to do, give me a hug, rub my head, pat me on the back, all these kinds of things that I needed and wanted people to do for me. And I just didn't receive that from the people that were around me. And at the time, it was really hurtful because I couldn't understand why they couldn't give me that support. I couldn't understand why it was so hard and why it was so difficult and, just why I couldn't receive from them what I needed. Excuse me. And so now, having come through the other side on a lot of those different issues, a lot of those different situations where I was looking for the savior, I was looking for the help, I was looking for the hand out, the leg up, the life jackets, to come save me and rescue me out of the water because I'm drowning. I was looking for these different things and not getting them, um, which was a letdown. Um, I am coming from a space where I did not like myself. I did not love myself. I did not value myself. Um, none of that. And so that's the background for me, a little snippet into the background for me. Coming from a place of deep, deep insecurity, deep pain, low self worth, the whole thing. And so that's part of what made me even feel like I needed to be saved. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't trust myself to handle these issues. I don't trust myself to rescue myself from these issues. I can't. Look at what my efforts have produced. I'm drowning because of the choices that I've made. I'm failing. I'm falling. I'm you know, I'm hurting. I am causing trauma and being traumatized. And so yeah, I'm looking for someone else to come step in to handle this for me, to help me, to show me the right way, to show me the way out. And not getting that support, not getting that assistance in the way that I felt I needed it. So now, where I am in life is being at a place where I have realized, oh, I didn't get that support. I didn't get that handout, that leg up, that whatever the case may be. I didn't get um, that, what did I say in the beginning? The warmth and the peace and the covering and the protection and the yada, 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 yada. I didn't get those things from the people in my life who were in positions where I feel like they should have. We're talking about family members, we're talking about close friends, we're talking about romantic relationships. So, people in position in my life to be that support person for me and just not doing it. Um, and so, yeah, so now being in the space where today I realize, oh, it's because I had to find all of that within myself. That's why, that's why, my whoever couldn't show up for me the way that I needed them to. That's why, this other person was too busy to offer me the support that I needed. That's why I, instead of being supportive, I instead received judgment and criticism and all of these things. It's because I needed to learn to lean on myself. I needed to learn to trust in myself, in my own intuition, my own discernment, develop those things, develop my strength, trust in my strength, instead of viewing myself as this worthless, essentially worthless, valueless, taking crumbs because that's all that I deserve, and, fighting for scraps of attention, scraps of affection, scraps of these different things, and feeling like I was lucky to even receive that. I'm just lucky to be here. I'm just lucky to have somebody that wants to talk to me, somebody that wants to be around me, somebody that, you know what I'm saying? I'm just lucky. I don't have that same opinion anymore because now I am coming from a position of someone who has put in the work to value myself. I have put in the work to like myself. I have put in the work to love myself. I have put in the work to stand with my head held high and know that no matter who shows up for me or doesn't show up for me, I can trust in myself to show up for myself. You know what I'm saying? And would that have happened if I had received that handout? If I had received that leg up? If I had received that assistance and somebody, literally holding my hand and walking me through these different situations? Would I have learned to deeply trust myself in my own thoughts, my own feelings, my own, whatever? I don't know. I don't know if I would have been able to trust in myself at all, or if I would have been able to trust in myself to the extent that I do now, had I not had to do it, you know? Um, and yeah, so it can be difficult when you're going through something and you feel like, man, why isn't my sibling coming through for me and showing up for me the way that I need for them to? Why isn't my best friend showing up for me? You know what I'm saying? My homeboys. Why does it seem like all these people are just putting me down or criticizing me or judging me instead of helping me? Why doesn't it seem like they're really trying to support the things that I'm trying to do, the moves that I'm trying to make? Why don't I have somebody here who can help guide me through this situation? That's why, love, because you're supposed to be guiding yourself. You are supposed to be learning how to trust in yourself to be a guide. You are supposed to be learning how to look at your higher self as a guide to develop and deepen your connection to self, your connection to source, strengthen your spirituality if you believe in God, if you believe that, the universe and higher powers or the ancestors, whatever it is you believe in, you're supposed to be developing those connections and not looking at your mama to come and, help you out. Not looking at your baby mama to come help you out. You know what I'm saying? Not worried about why your best friend of 15 years isn't coming through for you the way that you feel like they should, because you're supposed to be using this time to strengthen yourself, to trust in yourself. And that's the bigger lesson in all of it. And that was a huge lesson that I had to learn because I went from leaning on this person, leaning on my ex husband, leaning on, and then to kind of like just floating, trying to grasp something in someone after that relationship ended, um, trying to grasp onto something to lean on, then leaning on to another relationship, um, and then really during the course of that relationship, really discovering it's been me the whole time, you know? In that last relationship, it was really a lot of back and forth and, me just being so distraught and upset because, why is it so difficult and why can't we get on the same page and why aren't they supporting me the way that I feel like a partner should be supporting their other partner? You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of that until I finally learned that lesson of, hey girl, you're supposed to be trusting in yourself for all of these things. All of these things that you want this other person to do for you, all of these things, these ways that you're expecting this other person to show up for you, you're supposed to be showing up for yourself in all of these ways. You're supposed to be doing these things for yourself. You're supposed to be loving yourself so deeply and intensely and so fully to where it doesn't matter if anyone else loves you or not. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be making yourself happy. You're supposed to be trusting in yourself. You're supposed to be healing on your own. All of those things and wounds and everything else that needs to be healed. You're supposed to be working on all of that yourself. And really, my life did like a 180 when I finally learned that lesson because everything ends and begins with you. It's all about your perspective, your mindset, your mind frame, the beliefs that you're choosing to believe. You know what I'm saying? And when you replace those old programs, those old beliefs of I am, worthless and I need someone else here, some type of external something to support me and feel me, and all of this, we replace all of that with I can do this for myself and I trust in myself and I nurture myself and I support myself. When you replace that old programming where you're looking and searching and looking and searching and looking and searching and being disappointed time and time again, you replace that and then go to live in a space where you are so full because of your own efforts and the work that you've put in for yourself. Life changes and shifts miraculously. So that's the first part of everything. Going on to the grief aspect, even though what I was just saying, even though it's not your mom's responsibility to help you heal, it's not your boyfriend's responsibility to, um, give you a place to stay if things in your life kind of go left. It's not these people's responsibility to show up for you and do these different things for you. At the same time, we do have these people occupying certain spaces in our lives for a reason. And not to say that we have them occupying that space for the sole purpose of helping us if we need help. However, that's something that comes with the territory, right? You know, you would imagine that your mother would help you if you need help. You would imagine that your sister would help you if you need help. You would imagine that your husband would show up for you the way that you need them to show up for you. You know what I'm saying? You would imagine your wife would do this. You would imagine your best friend would do that. You would imagine these people who are occupying these really special spaces would be there for you in the way that you need them to. And then when they don't, there is a natural level of sadness and grief that accompanies that. So, yeah, you can intellectualize it and say, well, that's not their responsibility anyway. No. However, emotionally, relationally, I do feel some type of way, and that's okay. That is okay. Depending on where you're at mentally, it can send you into a spiral of despair if the people around you aren't showing up for you in certain ways. You can feel hopeless, like, okay, now I'm really stuck. Now I really don't know what to do. Now I really don't know which way to turn. Once upon a time, I, when my older children were younger, um, I used to get child support from their father, and that's how I paid my bills. Um, he decided that he wanted to start a business. So, for an extended period of time, there was no child support coming in. And again, this is what I use to pay my bills. So, no child support coming in now. What? If my children were still like elementary school age, maybe barely middle school, my oldest may have been in sixth grade, maybe. And really, maybe, might have been in sixth grade. And that was my oldest. And my youngest at the time was several years younger than her. So he was, very early elementary school age. Um, and so that was one of the reasons why I wasn't working because they're still very young. I need to drop them off. I need to pick them up. I need to be available. I had like tried to get different jobs. I didn't go to college. I didn't graduate from college, I should say. And while they were very, very young, I was a stay-at-home mom before my husband and I separated. And so I didn't have any like work skills and college degree and all this other kind of stuff to fall back on to go out into the workforce. And then also with them still being very young, um, I really needed to kind of be there to do school drop offs and pickups and all these different kinds of things. And so I hadn't been working. So, like I said, I was using child support to pay all my bills. And so then with him quitting the job that he had that was paying the child support and branching off into this entrepreneurship thing that he was trying and no child support coming in, now it's forcing my hand to try to figure something out. And I was trying to get office jobs that had, really good daytime hours and all this kind of stuff. Nothing's coming through. Nothing's coming through. Um, no nibbles, no nothing. And so then I was like, fuck it. I got, I was trying to get, not trying, but I had gotten a job at Family Dollar. And if anybody doesn't know what Family Dollar is, it's, just a few steps below, like a Walgreens, kind of a situation. Um, So that's where I was working. If you don't know what Walgreens is, I don't know what to tell you. Google it, I guess. But anyway, so I got a job at Family Dollar and I was talking to my mom about it. And she's like, okay, so where are the kids going to be? And I'm like, well, they're going to have to be at home by themselves. I don't have anybody to watch them. And my mom at that time was a licensed teacher. And she was like, oh, that's not good. They're young. And this is the kind of stuff. And I'm just like, well, I don't have any alternatives. And she's all, well, this is the kind of thing that as a teacher that we have to report. And she's like, I'm a mandated reporter, and these are the kinds of things that we have to report. And I was like, well, you know what? If that's what you feel you got to do, then that's what you feel you got to do. Like, what are you talking about right now? You know what I'm saying? As my mother, you see that I'm in this particular predicament. And instead of trying to help me out of that predicament, instead of saying, hey, this is how I can show up for you, this is what I can do, let's work this out, let's figure this out together. Instead of taking that approach, it was criticism, it was judgment, it was threats to call fucking CPS on me for leaving my children at home. When what alternatives do I have? You know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm just, this is what I want to do. I don't have any other options. What am I not going to pay my bills? You're not offering me a place to stay. So I got to keep paying my bills some kind of way. I'm trying to get the office job with daytime hours so that my kids don't have to be at home alone. It's not coming through. What am I supposed to do? And so this is what I'm talking about. When you have these people in certain positions in your life, occupying certain roles in your life, like mother, and you would think that your mother would be someone to help you out of situations, to help you, maneuver and go through and navigate and show up for you and your kids, especially, and their grandchildren, to help you alleviate stress and problems and, all of these kinds of things. And she's not offering to do any of that. And instead, she's adding more stress onto my plate by threatening to call CPS on me. And I just remember feeling extremely sad, extremely like you feel so beaten down by life. And now even my own mother is beating me down. Even my own mother is judging me and criticizing me and telling me that I'm making foolish decisions and I don't know how to do life right, basically. So that's just even more. I'm already coming from a place where I think that I'm worthless. I think that I'm foolish. I think that I'm, all of these really hurtful, harmful, negative things. And even my own mother is treating me that way, is responding to me in that way, is reinforcing those beliefs. So just a lot of heaviness that came with those kinds of conversations with her. And so that's what I mean when I talk about the grief. Is it my mom's job to help me? No, it's not her job to help me. I'm a grown woman. These are my kids, yada, yada. However, the village is very much necessary. The village is very much necessary and is lacking and is probably the number one reason why so many mothers are failing and drowning and sad and become hard and bitter and, all of these kinds of things, lose their softness, lose their femininity. You see all these moms walking around looking like thugs, sweatpants, hair all over their head, looking horrible, not taking care of themselves, all of these kinds of things. And it's because they're stressed and they're overwhelmed and they are tired and there's no help. Anyway, that's a deeper conversation for another day. But back to this. So it can be extremely difficult and you can feel hopeless and lost and full of despair and fear. And that's because you're being the damsel, you know? You're being the damsel who's looking to be rescued, who's looking to be saved, instead of putting yourself into the victor's mindset of, I can do this. I can show up for myself. I can do this for myself. I can figure this out. I can work it out. And I'm definitely not saying it like it's something easy to do. It took me 35 years to learn how to like myself. It took 35 years for me to learn how to trust myself. And I'm still having to take it day by day, really. And I'll be 40 real soon. So it's definitely not an easy process where, oh, okay, I'll just shift my mindset. All right, got it, done. It's a process. It definitely is a process. And it's one that you have to really give yourself a lot of grace for, um, and just allow yourself the space and the time to grow and expand in those different ways. And also, what you need to do is give yourself the space to grieve these relationships, grieve your expectations, and possibly even grieve the whole relationship altogether. There's people that I no longer talk to because of how they treated me when I was down, how they treated me when I hated myself, how they treated me when I needed help, real, like real, for real help. It's people that I don't talk to anymore. It's people that I have put a lot of distance between, or me and myself, me and them. And I, have the most basic type of relationship with them because of how they treated me when I hated myself, how they treated me when I was drowning in life and didn't know where to go, what to do, where to turn, was full of despair, full of fear, full of hopelessness. And again, I know that it was not their responsibility to, bolster me up and, put on a suit of armor, for me and fight my battles for me. No, that's not their responsibility. However, it is. It is if you are occupying a certain space in someone's life. There are certain sacrifices. There are certain things that you have to do. As a mother, there are certain things you have to do for your children. As a partner, there are certain things you have to do for your partner. As a friend, there are certain things you have to do for your friends. Yada yada, you know what I'm saying? And I know for a fact I have not shown up well in any of those positions, really. And so there are people out there that have to grieve the relationship that they had with me. You know what I'm saying? The expectations that they have for me to show up for them in those different ways. So I'm definitely not saying that I am an angel and a saint and I've done everything perfect and it's everyone else. I'm for sure not. I am 100% the villain in a lot of people's stories, just like there are people who are 100% the villain in my stories. You know, none of us are perfect. None of us um, show up well all of the time. And the most that we can do is the most that we can do in each moment. And unfortunately, sometimes, almost doesn't count. The most that you can do wasn't enough, may not be enough for somebody. And yeah, I feel like this is really, I've gone all the way left with this. So let me circle back around. Um, Allow yourself the space to grieve, to either grieve the relationship that you had with certain people, or grieve the expectations that you had of that relationship, and shift your expectations, lower your expectations with the understanding that this person will not show up for you in those ways. You don't write it off though. Don't just say, okay, well, it wasn't their responsibility, so it's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. You were hurt. You were let down. You were disappointed. Allow yourself to feel those feelings. Allow yourself to feel those feelings and decide what you want your future to look like. What does a friend mean to me? Does a friend mean showing up in these different ways at these different times? Am I doing that? Do I meet those qualifications of friend? What are some things that I need to work on so that I can meet my own standard of friend? The people in my life that I call friend, are they doing this for me? Do I want to continue to call them friend, or do I want to start over with completely new people? Have I tried to have a conversation with them to let them know what a friend means to me and what I think a friend should be? Have I apologized to them for not showing up in those ways myself? And so on and so forth with all of the relationships in your life. I've had relationships with my mother. I've had relationships with my friend. I went on what I call like a whole apology tour where I apologized to all these different people for all of these things that have been weighing on my heart for years and years of me not showing up for them the way that I should have. And I went on a whole apology tour. Um, I have not received any apologies in return. Not that I'm expecting any. I'm just saying I haven't. So, guess what? I don't really talk to any of them anymore. And again, it's not because of the apology thing. It's just about um, if I am moving into a space where I am living with a certain level of integrity, a certain level of openness, a certain level of communication, and yada, 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 and you don't see the importance of that, then, and this is important to me in relationship with you, then I don't know if we can be in relationship anymore if you don't find the same thing important, you know? So there's been different friendships, there's been different partnerships, there's been different whatever that has been either, like I said before, cut off, or there's been distance put between me and them, um, so that I can love them while still maintaining my peace. And that's a part of the grief process, right? Is okay, now that I have accepted the sadness and the grief and all of that, now what? Moving forward, now what? And now what is boundaries, conversations, communication, yada yada, so on and so forth. Um, but yeah, so anyway, to wrap it all up, you have to save yourself. You have to save yourself. You can't continue to live life in a place where you're looking at everyone else to give you the answers. You're looking at everyone else to validate you and pump you up and tell you you're worthy. All of these kinds of things every single day. You have to feel those roles for yourself. You have to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you are worthy, you are valuable, you deserve, and then actually go out there and live the life that you are worthy and valuable and deserve. You know, you have to allow yourself the space to fall and get up and fall and get up and so on and so forth. And you have to allow yourself the space to grieve the relationships that you had placed on a pedestal and the expectations that you had placed on these people, and then decide what you want to do moving forward with those people and those relationships. Um, and yeah, I feel like this was really all over the place, but hopefully someone got something out of it. Um, I am grateful for the opportunity to share just a tidbit of what my life experiences, how my life experiences have been, so that someone else can possibly, connect to it and relate to it and see themselves reflected back and understand that, more is out there, more is possible. Um, there's greater and better and different and all the things, right? There's all the things that exist. And just because the life that you're living right now is one of despair and hopelessness and whatever the case may be, does not mean that you are stuck there forever. There is more out there. You do have to show up, but that is what life is teaching you, to trust in yourself to show up, to trust in yourself to be present day after day, to trust in yourself to live the life and find the life that you desire and you deserve. Okay? So, what I'm going to do now to wrap all this up is just to pick a card for us right quick. I'm using the Guardians of the Night Tarot, which is really fitting because it is dark now. I have been yapping, 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 and now I can barely see because it's dark outside. So we really finna pick one card so I can get my tootie inside. I got 100 mosquito bites. If you've made it this far, I am ever so grateful. You must really, I was about to say you must really be bored, but is that me putting myself down? Am I saying that you have to be bored to listen to me? Like, see, this is what I'm telling you. It is really a day by day, moment by moment reprogramming of the brain, child. Lord have mercy. You just get tired of it sometimes because when am I going to be healed? When is it over? When is it done? Oh my gosh. Never. Never done. Okay. Um, so Guardians of the Night Tarot. Okay. Um, all right. So the Hanged Man. And if you're not familiar with the Guardians of the Night Tarot deck, it is all animals, or Guardian of the Night, by MJ Cullinan. I believe that's how it's pronounced. So it's all animals. On the Hanged Man card in this deck, it is a possum, and we're going to read it out of the deck. I mean, out of the book. If I can find my light, Lord, have mercy. Come on, light. All right. Ooh, I can't see. Okay, let's see. All right, so here we are. The Hanged Man. This is page 1, or the first page of it. It is only after we relax into the fact that we have become immobilized that the gifts of the Hanged Man become clear. The ability to see your situation from a different angle, a new perspective, will open the door for other options and new opportunities. In this state of suspension, our creative mind takes in the world from a new angle, gathering further information and allowing ideas, I'm assuming, to emerge. With more information, the opinions that we once held on to so tightly evolve. While some may wither, others will blossom. The Hanged Man represents inaction or stagnation at someone's hands or a situation out of our control. This could be as annoying as being put on perma hold as you are trying to connect with customer service, or maybe having a project delayed because the person who needs to sign off on the next step is out on an unexpected medical leave. There is nothing you can do. Although frustrating, the hangman arrives to teach us a fundamental lesson. Uh, uh, Patience, and the bonus lesson of compassion if your derailment results from someone else's misfortune. Opossums are not the fighting type. When threatened, they pause all action and play dead. When you are in a momentary limbo state, take a cue from the opossum and lay low. Fighting during this time will not yield positive results. What it will do is draw attention to you at perhaps the worst time. You might find yourself unprepared for a battle and in a position where even the smallest issue could create further delays. Opossum, passive perspective, going inward and inaction. So, doesn't that really kind of fit into what we were talking about? Um, really just wanting someone to help you and show you the way and figure it out for you and do it for you and hold your hand and all the things. When really all that's needed is not all, because it's a lot, but when really what's needed is for you to figure it out. And so being in a position right now with the hangman where you feel stuck, you feel trapped, you feel like you can't move forward, you feel like, everything that you're trying, you keep bumping your head, you keep hitting your head, you keep just not being allowed to progress beyond where you currently are. And it can be frustrating. And that is when you go inward. And what shifts do I need to make mentally? What have I been trying to do? You know what I'm saying? What could I be learning right now? What could I be shifting my perspective on? What should I be seeing things differently on? So I'm waiting for somebody else to come and give me the answers and the playbook and the this and the that. Maybe I need to shift my perspective and start trusting in myself. Start believing in myself. Start believing in the answers. Start trusting in the answers that I have. Even if I do bump my head, it's okay to bump your head. You know what I'm saying? Bumping your head doesn't mean that you don't have the answer. You feel me? Bumping your head doesn't mean that the direction you want to go in is the wrong direction, or, you know, you just can't be trusted to make a decision ever again in life, and you just have to be still and, wait for somebody else to show you the way. It doesn't mean that. Are you putting yourself in the hangman? Are you putting yourself up on that cross and saying, until someone comes and saves me, on some Snow White fairy tale type shit, until someone else, my Prince Charming, comes along and awakens me with true love's kiss, I shall lie dormant on this cross, on this bed. I shall remain here forever. And yep. So the Ace of Wands, I'm shuffling my cards right now. The Ace of Wands reverse just came out. So yeah, it's talking about inaction. It's talking about, you can be making, there's moves that you could be making, and you're sitting around waiting for somebody else because you don't trust in yourself to make the moves, because you don't believe in yourself to make the moves, because you think that you just don't trust yourself. You think that your decision making is faulty, and so someone else has to be responsible. Someone else needs to be responsible. And life is saying, hey, there's a whole big world out here waiting for you to get off the cross, waiting for you to get down, waiting for you to shift your mindset from damsel to victor to warrior, waiting for you to shift your mindset from servant, playing the background, shrinking yourself, wanting to be the sidekick, wanting to have a job where I remember there were times I just wanted to have a job where somebody else tells me what to do and I just go home. When I know I am, I, I desire, truly, deeply desire more than that. You know what I'm saying? And so it's that. It's you trusting yourself, learning how to, taking baby steps, bumping your head, and then getting back up, figuring it out, trusting that you can figure it out, trusting that you will figure it out, trusting that you have what it takes and you have what you need to figure it out, to show up for yourself, to be the one that's in charge, be the one that's calling the shots, be the one that's at the forefront. And it can be scary, extremely scary, to not be able to hide kind of behind someone else and put them at the forefront and have them make all the decisions for you. That's the coward way out. And I don't want to say that. That's not fair and that's not sensitive, because I get it. Trust me, I get it. However, you are meant for more. You are built for more. You can do, and life is waiting for you to do. As soon as you decide that you can, the universe will show you that you can, even if it's just a baby step. Even if it's just a baby step. Look at this. Look for the signs. Look for the confirmations. Look for the synchronicities. And yeah, I love you guys. I'm sorry if this was like really rambling and jumbled again. I pray whoever needed to hear these words heard these words, even if you only listened to the first 5 minutes. Hope you were able to get something out of it that was useful and powerful and encouraged you to keep going, keep showing up for yourself. Uh, keep looking for yourself at yourself to be that one instead of waiting for other people. You know. Anyway, guys, I love you guys so much, so much, so much, so much, so much, so much. We are all doing a mighty work in doing this work to heal, doing this work to show up, doing this work to overcome those limiting beliefs and rewrite our narratives, rewrite the programming, rewrite um, the story for ourselves, rewrite our futures, really, is what we're doing. We are taking our destiny and our fate and everything into our own hands and rewriting it. And I love y'all for that. And I love you for that. And y'all. So anyway, it is fully dark outside now. Moon is up and out and big and bright and beautiful. And I think my child has run inside because they are scared of all the big flying bugs. So it's time to go inside for me too. Um, I don't know when I'll be back on. But yeah, I will see you guys, or I guess talk to you guys another time. I hope y'all have a good night, good morning, good whatever, whenever you're listening to this. Okay? Okay. Bye.